Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to February 26, 2025 special call meeting of City Council. We would like to invite Dr. Gupta to come forth and speak for the school board.
Is it okay if I have Vice Chair here with me?
Yes, sir.
I'll just stand here.
We'll be doing most of the talking. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Madam, members of the City Council. We are here for any questions you have in regards to the matter at hand. Would you like me to?
Yes, sir.
So, Dr. Day, let me just, people, to make it clear, we are certain in things were discussed in detail in a closed session. So the law prevents us to discuss that out in public domain. Even if you take me to a closed session, as per the school board attorney's advice, we have to go through a lot of hoops to disclose what happened. So what we'll be sharing with you today or this afternoon is what was discussed in the public domain.
Yes, sir.
Right? Is that, so that'll be the boundary we'll have, is nothing discussed in closed session. Otherwise, they'll arrest me for violating the law. So Dr. Day will present you the investigation results, what he presented to the board, and we go from there. Dr. Day.
Okay. All right, thank you. So on Tuesday, January 21st, at the end of a disciplinary committee hearing in the school board room, Mr. DePaul removed the framed photograph of Dr. Edwards from the wall, covered her picture with a picture of a character from the movie The Goonies, and replaced it on the wall with Dr. Copeland's name in the caption area of the frame. Mr. DePaul has been very forthcoming about the fact that he is the one who did this and has not tried to conceal it. On the following Monday, January 27th, there was a training session in the room, but that took place at the opposite end of the boardroom from the dais, so the participants there weren't that close to where the picture hung on the wall, and probably none, if any of them, noticed it. However, a staff person did observe it and reported it up the chain of command to Dr. Copeland, who then took down the picture and restored it to its original state. These are the essential facts and are undisputed. The board held a closed meeting with legal counsel about this situation on Tuesday, February 4th. As Dr. Gupta just explained, I cannot give you any additional information that was discussed in that closed session without first obtaining appropriate permissions. I do not mean to be uncooperative in saying that, but we need to protect the legal rights of everyone involved. Then, in open session, following the closed meeting, I recited the facts as I just explained them to you. And then Mr. DePaul acknowledged everything and apologized to everyone affected, Dr. Copeland in particular. He said that if it was the will of City Council, he would resign from the school board, sparing you the step of petitioning the court for his removal. He has been removed from both the Student Discipline Committee and the Facilities and Finance Committee, both of which he chaired. The school board has not taken a position on whether or not Mr. DePaul should resign. Now, I have not expressed my personal opinion about Mr. DePaul's continuation on the board. I've only communicated to you factual information about what transpired at the board level. However, depending on what other statements are made to you this afternoon, I would like to reserve the opportunity to speak to you again with my personal opinion at the end of any public comment period, if you will allow me to.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I came prepared to say. Do you have any question for me before I sit back down?
Is there any questions?
Thank you for the information. Who all were the school board members present at that time?
At what time?
At the time when he put the picture up and removed the picture of Edwards?
It was a meeting of the Student Discipline Committee. I can tell you the membership of that committee. It is Mr. DePaul, Dr. Tinsley, and Mr. Connor. And I assume there was a staff member present. I was there at the first half of that meeting. I left in the middle, and then Dr. Tinsley, who couldn't be there at the first half, took over for me. So I believe the staff person who was present, at least when I was there, was Casey Jefferson. But this event occurred at the very end of the meeting. I was not present at that time, so I cannot say with certainty who was in the room.
So you don't know if the other school board members were still there when it happened? Did they observe him doing that?
I think I cannot respond to that without violating my obligation to not reveal things that were discussed inside the closed session.
Thank you. Has he apologized to Dr. Edwards?
He has stated an apology, to Dr. Edwards.
Yes, because he took her.
I have no knowledge of that.
Did he take our picture down, or he covered our picture up?
Dr. Copeland took the picture down.
But no, as far as Mr. DePaul, does he remove her picture, or he just covered it up?
He covered it up.
He covered it up. But he has not, you're not, he hasn't apologized to Dr. Edwards?
I have no knowledge of
Can
it.
answer that question.
Okay.
Councilman Sterling, well, you know, Dr. Edwards, we have a separation agreement, and we're bound by that. They'll be in violation of the covenants of that agreement for anybody to talk about whether the contact should happen or not. So there's a reason for, we cannot discuss.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. One additional contextual question. It's been reported that when this was, it should be fairly easy, but when this was,
I was looking for Dr. Day for the difficult questions.
when this Goonies character was placed, there was an inscription written below. That was not included in your remarks, but it's been pretty publicly stated in the media. Was that correct, that there was an
That was the name of
inscription
Dr.
written?
Copeland, right?
Yeah, the frame has a little separate caption area at the bottom where it says, originally it said Dr. Edwards' name and the term of her service on the board. So this alternate picture was placed over her photograph, and then in that caption area, Dr. Copeland's name was placed there instead of Dr. Edwards.
Anyone else?
We did what we could as a school board, I can assure the public, and we will do whatever needs to be done to make sure these things don't happen. And we truly apologize from anybody who's been affected, whether it's the members of our LCS community, our fellow school board members, parents, guardians, you know. But our job is to make sure we maintain the discipline we expect from our students, from anybody who serves on the board. And Councilman Wilder, you had your hand up, sir.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that Christian DePaul, a current member of the Lynchburg School Board of the City of Lynchburg, hereby request that he promptly and voluntarily resign his position as a member of the school board.
Any discussion?
May I speak to that motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, I served in the school board for 9 years. I've been on city council for 8 years. I'm a lifelong resident of Lynchburg. I've been to all the schools from Garland Rose Elementary to East Glass High School. You know, I have a love for our schools. I love for our city. Especially if you're in the school board role and you do disciplinary hearings. I did them for 9 years. You know, you have to have the most respect from the teachers, from the school, from the parents, from the persons you're given a sentence to based on what infraction they've done, whether it's 365 or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure you have the utmost respect for them. I think Mr. DePaul, I think he has lost respect from our teachers, from our parents. I received so many emails. My emails again have locked. I received so many emails calling, requesting his resignation. It's a disservice to our citizens. We have, over the past 2 years, we've had so much chaos and situations in our community that we're making national news. It's always for the wrong things. At some point, we got to say enough is enough. We got to bring back civility to our community. We got to bring back a city that used to have brotherly love, where we could love one another, appreciate one another, and not make comments or make jokes about people with disability or comment about people the way they look or just being so mean to people. We've got to stop that. So I totally disagree with what he did. We got to, at some point, we got to bring Lynchburg back together. We got to, we talk about we are a Christian nation and a Christian city and all that kind of stuff, which is beautiful. But we need to show some love at some point. So we need to bring back. We need to stop all the chaos in our community, and we need to bring back civility to our city council as well as our school board, especially at this moment, our school board. Thank you.
Want to speak to your second, Chris?
Thank you, Mayor. At first, I communicated with Mr. DePaul, and I had asked a couple questions, and we went back and forth. At no time was I requested from him what should be done or not, or was I asked my thoughts about the situation. And I wanted to give time to try to talk to more folks, get some more input. I know this might be a little awkward, but I did attempt to try to find a good cell phone number for our interim superintendent to try to gauge his insight. I wasn't able to obtain that, but time is limited. And then I came across an email to my inbox, which I didn't have an opportunity to see until, I guess, midday, which communicated that, from Mr. DePaul, that communicated he had spoken to 5 members of council and not one member had told him to resign, and that only one other member said he should stay on, and that was the only input or conversations that were had, and that's a misrepresentation of our conversation. And I've informed him of that in writing, that that statement was not the full truth of what our conversation was. I asked him what I thought he should, what he thought he should do, and that's really the bulk of our conversation. So I'm arriving in this place from a couple different levels. We can talk about intent, outcome. That doesn't matter, it happened. I accept his apology. I've known Christian for a number of years. I believe he's sincere in his apology, but I also believe we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I'm not perfect, I never claimed to be, but I have to look at this situation and say, a man has said, if the body that is responsible for me votes by a majority and says, no, I need to go, then I think it's our duty to get together and do just that. So my issues with what he did are legitimate, just as a number of other folks in the community, except I take grave concern or greater concern with how this has played out in the last 24 hours. How it's gone to the media, interviews done publicly, and then communications in private, yes, sure, which then are, at least by my perspective, not accurately represented in a public document that has been shared to social media, to the media itself. That's a problem. So yes, I don't think it was appropriate to be done. More so now than ever, my real justification why I'm seconding this motion is for how it's played out. We don't need a distraction right now. We're looking to hire a superintendent. What message would it send if we didn't hold our appointees accountable while we're trying to hire the next superintendent? What message does it send to our parents that when the same member of the school board, from what I've heard, would support suspension or expulsion for similar actions? That's a fair criticism. What message does it send that when someone misrepresents those very private conversations that were sought out, and then that it is screenshotted and blown all over the world? No, this is a distraction. This is not needed. It is incredibly unfortunate, and we need to hold this to account.
One question, just for purposes of clarifying the record. So City Council has a resolution in front of it. Is the motion that's on the table the proposed to adopt that resolution, or a separate oral motion made by Dr. Wilder?
Yes, the motion that's before us. I didn't read the whole motion. I apologize, but yes, sir, I was just listening. Thank you.
Ms. Kimber?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a substitute motion, and I've got to clarify. So with making the substitute motion, do I define it and then allow for a second, or may I speak to the context of that motion? I'm sorry, I just need that clarification.
So I would first state the motion.
Yep.
See if there's a second, and then Mr. Mayor will allow you to speak to the
Okay.
substitute motion.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So I would like to make a substitute motion regarding the process in which we do deliberations concerning accusations that are brought before council, resignations, and also censures or public admonishments, in order to create clarification in the process, as this has been a rapid 24 hours.
I'll second that.
Want to speak to it?
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. So I know that this is a wild day for Lynchburg. It's a wild day for council. And sadly, though I'm grateful that I was not on the previous council, this type of event or situation has become pretty commonplace in Lynchburg right now. And there are a lot of things that we can speak about as to why that's the case. But I want to share with you my last 24 hours and the confusion that that's created, just a snippet, because with that, it creates confusion in the public and the ability to have these deliberations in a way that's healthy, cohesive, and moves towards a decisive direction for the community. So yesterday, I was told that there was actually, I found out this morning because I had an issue with my email, user error, technological issues. But I found out this morning that there's a special meeting this afternoon, had prior plans, but happy to be here, and that special meeting was in regards to a resignation that had previously been offered and whether we would accept said resignation. I then learned that said resignation had never been offered, and there was a miscommunication that had gone out through media and a number of city notices regarding a resignation that had never been offered. And then I need to pose this as a question to the city attorney, but it's my understanding that council cannot compel a resignation without working through the court system of Mr. DePaul. Is that?
So, no one can compel a resignation irrespective of the court system. So resignation is something that's either offered freely or it's offered at a request. The court system process you're speaking to is specific to a forced removal.
Okay.
So if there was a situation where a forced removal was required for misuse of office, misconduct, other statutory factors, then that is where the court process would come in.
Okay, thank you. And so with that, I have a meeting that I was told was called for one purpose. Then I was told that that purpose no longer exists in regards to a resignation that does not exist. And then I was told that there was the possibility of a resolution to request something that I have no authority to compel. And in the context of that, it's created a lot of confusion, and I've received a number of citizen concerns, and I want to be clear, I do not condone the behaviors of Mr. DePaul or his actions in this regard, but the confusion that this creates in the context of a public forum is pretty significant. And so with that, I would like to propose a process in which we have these deliberations when it comes to a public accusation or a resignation, so that all of council receives said resignation in writing so that we can confirm for ourselves whether it exists, or when it comes to public admonishments, to have a process involved so that there's opportunity for findings and things to come to light. I have not had an opportunity to review the details except for the immediate factual findings of this case, and there are a number of emails that I want to be intentional to take the time to consider. And so with that, I have it in writing if everybody'd like to see it, but I would put forward the substitute motion that we have a process in which we have transparency in this involvement, community involvement, and we do not make haste in regards to people in public positions out of a response when there is not full understanding or clear communication.
You done?
Yep.
I have a second. He can speak to it.
Mr. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mrs. Nimmer. And I was just able to kind of breeze through this pretty quickly. And, you know, when I see recommendations on here that are asking us to actually take a brief pause in moments of chaos and absorb all the information to then find the facts, right? I like the way that sounds, because usually brash decisions are not always the best decisions. And when I see this and I look at recommendations that are founded on due process, which is a fundamental part of our constitutional republic, I absolutely support that. I am thankful for the time that you took to put this together. These kinds of recommendations, to incorporate them as part of our rules for City Council, are the things that we can do to truly protect the integrity of this body and the decisions that we make. And it also creates a situation where I think we make it loud and clear that being a public servant in Lynchburg is not something that you do to then turn around and be crucified over. That's something that we need to get away from, right? Because we need to get away from that media attention like Mayor Taylor talked about. We need to get away from that chaos and these kinds of processes and procedures that are here to, one, afford the public an opportunity to give input, afford us to find the facts, and create due process around what we do and the decisions we make. I think this is a good thing. So I'm honored to second this, and I appreciate what you put into it. Thank you.
You are the biggest problem. I'm speaking to you. You the biggest problem. Now, we will have opportunity to speak to. We since we came established as a school board, we have a right to investigate.
Mr. Ferrari?
I would encourage all present to let council deliberate this in a pleasant silence. Citing process as a reason to delay this conversation in this particular instance, to me, is cowardly. I find it ironic that we're told to press not to be haste in just simply requesting someone to resign. We're not forcing it. That's all this document says. We're requesting you resign based on what you've openly admitted to. Then I'm handed with a 2-page document about rules and regulations that I should adopt, which I have never seen before, and expected to make a hasty decision on it. This is very simple. I'll read it. That Mr. Christian DePaul, current member of the school board for the city of Lynchburg, is hereby requested to promptly and voluntarily resign his position as a member of the school board. That this request is based on information received by the membership of council from various sources of information, including but not limited to the public, school board, leadership, public records, and statements made by Mr. DePaul. All of the same relating to Mr. DePaul's recent inappropriate conduct as a member of the school board. And then how this resolution shall be distributed. There is no other consideration If you think it's appropriate, vote against our motion in second. If you think it's not, vote with us. If he's a man of his word, which I do believe he is, and there's a majority who say that he should resign, so be it. If not, so be it. We move on. There is no process other than that. It's quite simple. But I do not want to entertain something that I have had 3 minutes to review, and half of that I've been speaking and not even looking at it.
Mr. Wilder?
Thank you. I do not support the substitute motion. First of all, Mr. DePaul admitted to, it's not like we need to find facts. The facts are that he admitted to it himself. Those are the facts, unless he's self-recriminated, but he admitted to doing it. So, and whether it was a comment about him saying he would resign if we asked him to, that's not, to me, that has nothing to do with my bearing. To me, is the actions of what he has done is why I feel like he should resign. So whether it was he said he was going to resign or he did say he was resign, I'm not getting into that portion. I'm getting to the portion that he admitted to doing it, and it's inappropriate. And at some point, we got to say in Lynchburg, we got to bring back civility to Lynchburg. At some point, we got to bring back civility, and we got to say, we got to bring, how do we attract businesses to our community where we continue to make headlines on chaos? We continue to make headlines on inappropriate conduct, where we continue to be in the news, like in the news for bad things we're doing. So at some point, we got to say, we want to attract business to come here. We want people to stay in Lynchburg, college students, whatever. We got to bring back civility and bring back some normalcy to our world. So I do not support this substitute motion. Thank you.
May I speak to Dr. Cope?
Can I make a brief statement, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, these are my words and they're not influenced by anyone. You know, as a student, a practitioner, and ultimately a teacher of leadership, I often reflect on the traits expected of great leaders. When teaching leadership to young leaders, I spend a lot of time talking about leadership traits, and one of those traits that I harp on that I consider to be important is judgment. I define judgment as the ability to weigh facts and possible courses of action in order to make sound decisions. Someone who exercises good judgment weighs the pros and cons accordingly to arrive at an appropriate decision and take action. Having good judgment is one thing that sets apart good leaders and great leaders. What was done is wrong. Lynchburg City Schools is not a fraternity house. It is not a maintenance facility. Employees don't pull pranks and we don't pull jokes on each other. We're a multi-million-dollar year organization and a crucial cornerstone of this community. I have looked at this from every angle over the last 10 days. I have spent a lot of time focused on this when I could be doing more important things. I always return to the same perspective. This is a textbook case of bad judgment. A person in leadership role that displays bad judgment normally has a very short tenure. I hope that we can get this to a positive outcome for everybody.
You was affected by this more than anybody else. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Any
you, sir.
questions anybody has while I'm up here? This has been an unfortunate distraction from the work
Yes.
that needs to be done.
Yes, sir. Mr. Missions?
I just wanted to tell you that in the period that this happened, before I even knew it was going on, that there was something very, very important that I reached out to you about. And you did what nobody else did for a long period of time. And you handled it and you took care of it. And you made a difference for somebody that really mattered. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
I appreciate you letting me know that was going on.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I have one question?
Anybody
sir?
else?
One question? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems fairly obvious, but, and this isn't a trial of any type, but I just had a question that I haven't had answered yet, and maybe you could answer it. It seems fairly obvious that this was directed at you based on the fact that your name was at the bottom of the picture. Do you think it was directed at anybody else?
I think that's a question for Mr. DePaul. When I found out about it, I was concerned about it on multiple levels.
Okay.
Yeah. Ms. Timlin?
Hi there.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
This is kind of tricky with all the cameras, but I truly do want to express my appreciation for the tour and the discussions. I am sorry, and this can be construed in a number of ways, but I am sorry and sad that this is the first time that we're having this discussion in regards to these issues. And so the challenge that presents for me is I'd like to be able to have this discussion in advance. I am very sorry for what happened, and I think it was inappropriate and wrong. And I really want you to know that.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so
I've got a
much
pretty
for-
thick skin, so I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. Thank you for your, yeah, really appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Damon?
Oh, I appreciate you too. I've not had the privilege of having a lot of conversations with you, but I look forward to that in the upcoming period. And I appreciate your service to the citizens and to our, most importantly, our school children. I think that's something that seems to have been lost in this was we need to focus like a laser on the kids, and any distraction from that is not helpful. I've made it clear that I want civility, but I'd like to speak to this particular motion. First off, I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Timmer for the work you've obviously done to put together, and I have had a chance to look at it. It's 2 pages, but it's fairly straightforward. And I do feel like that all of this is a rush. The back and forth that I've gone through and listening to, did he resign? Did he offer to resign? He has resigned. Honestly, my opinion on it is I think this is properly should have come before the board of the school board first. And then if they wanted to come to us, I think that's the proper process as well. And I'm not condoning anything that Mr. DePaul has done. Clearly, it was a lack of judgment. It's not good judgment, okay? And this is not what I wanted to be talking about. I think it's fair to say it's probably not what he would want to be talking about either. And I'm sure he has serious regrets about all of it. But I do feel like we are forced to make a decision on this call for his resignation. So I appreciate the efforts that you did to put together this so that we can be more transparent and we can deal with it in not a rushed manner. I'm not in favor of any rushed manner, no matter whose side benefits or doesn't benefit. Everybody deserves a fair process, and I still don't know a lot about this situation that I think is relevant. I made it clear that I think this was bad judgment. Okay, that's absolutely correct. But in looking at this, the changes in rules, I think gives us more transparency, slows down this rush, and gives me a chance to actually get all the information before I'm asked to make a decision. And I would like the courtesy to be able to have that as well. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Timmer?
I'm going to leave because if he was If he was white, that's how you're looking at it. But if he was black, he would have been gone. Yeah?
But it sounds like to me that this side over here seems to think that it's right.
All right.
I don't understand what this side over here.
You gonna tell me to bang the gavel again?
I don't understand that. The man admitted to doing it, and you saying right now we need to hold him off? Yeah, what makes that right?
May I speak to Dr. Day again, please?
This is sick. That's ridiculous.
Really disappointing, y'all.
Here.
Really disappointing.
Don't surprise me.
I am. But at least you had some sense.
I see why we in the situation we in.
Mr. Day, City Council cannot force Mr. DePaul out.
The procedure for removing
Yes.
a school board member, as your attorney has explained, is that you need to give a petition, send a petition to the circuit court asking for his removal. There's a Virginia statute
Right.
that describes this process.
Right.
The situation is that Mr. DePaul has told us that if
That's what I want.
I assume he means the majority of city council members told him that they thought he should resign, that he would resign and spare you the process of sending forth a petition.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you hear that, Jacqueline Timmer? Did you hear that? Thank you, Ms.
Point of order. Yes, sir.
Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. He said that if enough city council members ask him to resign, he will resign.
Yes.
Okay.
What's your vote, Chairman?
Yeah, what's your vote, Jack?
Mission.
Mr. Mayor.
Are you done with me? Or-
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just a point of clarification. There's a lot, and this is one of the reasons that I am uncomfortable about this,
You should be.
is we have people saying that he said he would resign. But then we got an email from him today saying he's not going to resign.
Can we see the email?
So with that being the case, and I believe that Dr. Day was copied on that email, but there was just a point of clarification, and I believe that we have a substitute motion on the floor right now, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
His offer to resign under those circumstances is a matter of public record. It's on the video recording of his statements at the school board meeting. Anybody who wants to see it can go watch it and hear him make that offer himself. There's no question that he made that offer. It's a matter of public record.
He also said it all here watching as well.
Yes, Ms. Timber.
It's good to see you too. One of the things that I really love about our country is that we create intentional processes that slow things down so that the minority group has the opportunity to always have a voice. No,
They're sitting right beside him.
You guys aren't slowing nothing down.
pure democracy ends up being two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. It does, at the end of the day.
Point of order.
And so we have a republic structure.
Point of order.
that-
Point of order.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not going to stand here and allow somebody like that to disrespect my peer up here and tell her to shut up. I'm just asking you to get him under control. I think he just left. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm calling for the substitute motion, vote. Yes.
I believe the substitute motion was made out of order since it wasn't even a motion at all, and then this was just passed around.
It
So
was a
that is my
motion.
request for your ruling on that fact.
It was in order.
The motion was to come up with a process, and then this was passed around. The motion was not to adopt this document, and then I would like you to rule on that substitute, on that point of order. Thank you.
things that it was not adopted, we don't have to vote on.
It's not correct.
What y'all got sitting there?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, the motion, as I understood it, was pretty clear that we would, the substitute motion, that this would be the substitute motion, and it's in writing. So I
Yes.
think it clearly qualifies as the substitute motion. It's been properly seconded. It's before your committee. I would hope that we would get an opportunity to vote on this, because it's just as written as this one, and in my mind, there's no difference. So this is what's on the floor right now.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Matthew?
Mr. Mayor, my point of order
Oh,
is
okay.
that this was not included on the published reason for this meeting and therefore cannot be considered at this time.
So what I'd offer is this. I do think Ms. Timmer's motion is my opinion. It's proper because it relates to the call, okay? But I'll say this. What I took from the motion was not that the document was to be adopted, but that it was, what we're doing here is to be delayed to deliberate on a process to be made part of our rules and procedures, or as part of a separate resolution or ordinance or whatever regarding these types of issues. So that's what I had taken from the substitute motion, Mr. Mayor.
So this is to be used for future conflicts?
Yes, or to be incorporated in some fashion after further discussions.
Yes, okay.
That's what she said. Is that, you agree with that? Okay.
You agree?
Admit that he done something. Y'all can right him wrong.
Yeah.
I don't understand. He admit that he done it.
Okay.
Order.
Ain't
Point
no
of order.
order. Admit he done it.
Yes.
And y'all voted
Yes,
different.
we're getting ready
I don't get it.
to vote.
They have two votes on the table.
I don't understand.
I'm calling the vote. Okay.
Am I voting on this?
The substitute motion.
This?
Substitute motion.
Substitute motion that was presented.
The
What is
general,
this?
not the document.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the substitute motion? Is it for concept or is it for this language?
As I understand it, the substitute motion on the table is for concept and to revisit the process as it relates to discipline, requesting resignations, et cetera.
No.
Councilmember Mischins?
Yes.
Councilmember Timmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilder?
No.
Vice Mayor Deemer?
Yes.
Mayor Taylor?
No.
The motion fails in a tie.
All right,
Now we're going to vote on the resignation of Mr. DePaul.
it's the resolution.
The resolution.
before you regarding the request for a
Yes.
resignation.
Okay, Councilmember Feraldi?
Yes.
Councilmember Mischins?
No.
Councilmember Timmer?
No.
Councilmember Wilder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Deemer?
No.
Mayor Taylor?
Yes.
The motion fails in a tie.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
did you receive any communication from Ms. Reed about her position on this matter?
Yes.
What was her position?
Ms. Reed's position is yes.
So we do have 4 members of council who've communicated that he should resign. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
So we do have 4 members of council who've said so.
She's traveling, but her vote is for him to resign.
So even though this resolution failed, we do have
Point of
on
order.
the record. I'll get easy, Marty. I'll
Point of order.
He's got priority.
thank
Point
you.
of order.
No, the mayor's recognized me. Thank you.
Yes.
Point of order.
Even
Rules
though
of
the
procedure give me the
resolution-
priority and a point of order.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Okay, Marty. Marty?
Do we have a policy that allows our members to remotely cast a vote?
No, we don't.
So therefore, Mayor Reed, or former Mayor Reed, Councilwoman Reed, does not have a vote in this matter.
Okay, and I'm making a motion that we adjourn this meeting and come back when Ms. Reed is here and resolve this issue.
Second.
Point of order again, that you can't combine it. It's either a motion to adjourn or it's nothing. You can't combine a motion to adjourn with something else. A motion to adjourn is a privileged motion. You cannot combine it with anything else. So I will second your motion to adjourn, but I will not combine it with anything else.
Meeting adjourned.
No,
Thank you.
you have to vote on it.
Have to vote, okay.
So, all right.
All in favor of adjourning this meeting,
Aye.
Aye.
No?
No.
That's 4, 4, and 3.
Is that 3-3?
3-3.
All right.
So motion fails. Mr. Mayor, may I please continue?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, if we want questions on parliamentary procedure, hey, Mr. Vice Mayor, I know you're learning here. I'm trying to explain something.
For adjournment.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'm trying to explain something.
Point of order. Was it not your intent to adjourn? You made the motion.
I made a motion to
So I'm
adjourn.
counting 1, 2, 3, 4 to 2. Is that not correct?
Did you vote to adjourn or not?
Yes, yes, I did.
So I think it's a privileged motion and it's passed. Is that not correct?
Yes, yes, it's passed.
That's what I thought.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Y'all pathetic.